So uh, let's get started. Assalamu alaikum. So aap mein se, I think if you guys can show me with the raise of hands, how many people actually know like about like how well versed are you guys in investing? Because we're just gonna have this very interactive session so that I'm not giving you unnecessary information all over again. um, तो आप में से किसको जनरल इन्वेस्टिंग का पता है या उसका रोबो एडवाइजर्स का पता है? Okay, just looking at the raise of hands. Okay, thank you. You can lower your hands. तो मैं आपको एक I'm just gonna share my screen now. It's going to be very interactive session. So the way you want to steer this discussion, we can take that discussion that way. So please confirm कर दें कि आपको मेरी स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है?
जी स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है.
Okay, so this is what something that I pulled up from directly from Money Sense. Nothing, no innovation of mine. It's just like go to Money Sense and say, hey, what are the different sort of robo advisors that are available in the market. So, but we're not going to go all through all of them. Very few of them actually. Okay, one of the requests that we got was that people wanted to know about Shariah compliant RRSP and TFS investment. So we'll pick few of them and compare what each one of them actually does. So most of the bigger companies, like whether it be Quest Trade or BMO or Nest Wealth, all of them actually now offer robo advising. So what robo advising is that it's a robot who's making investments on your behalf. So technically, if you see, like, there's nothing different in this rather than you going and buying the stock on your own. But there are a lot of people who are working professionals, very busy. They don't have time to go and do the purchases or make the trades. So in the last few years, this concept of robo advisors actually came into the market, where these robo advisors are making investments on your behalf. Before robo advisors, kya hota tha ki, as you, and if you're banking with TD or your employer is Sun Life, they would say, okay, pick up your funds and your risk portfolio, and we'll just keep on deducting from your paycheck, or would be a pad. But mostly they used to invest in mutual funds, and mutual funds, as most of you know, are a bit expensive than ETFs. So what robo advisor does is they actually pull the money the same way the bank does, and they invest in ETFs for which the the MER, or the management expense ratio, is pretty low. So ये मैंने आपको एक main overview दे दिया कि these are the major ones. अब I can actually walk you through which are the Sharia compliant, or I would say halal TFS and RSP companies in Canada. So जो लोग यहाँ पे they have been here for a while, they would know that आज से कुछ साल पहले there were only few companies that were, or individuals who were doing it. So there's an old company, pretty old. It's called nointerest.ca. So this brother is actually a convert. So he actually started this company, and all what they were doing was investing in global Iman fund mutual funds. Now, before I even go into starting discussing what the companies are, or the people who don't want to go into specific robo advisor, and they want to do self-direct investing, this session is not about self-direct investing, but I'll walk you through what are the main actual funds available right now in the market that you can invest in. I've actually excluded, there's another fund that is called PAK, which invests in Pakistani market only, but these are the main funds. So the ones that you see in red are ETFs. और जो बाकी आप funds देख रहे हैं, they are technically mutual funds, so you can always go and invest in them. But these funds are actually available on the exchange, like New York Stock Exchange, and mostly now there's a recent addition of um, Wealthsimple's ETF as well, which is because all of them actually are in US dollars. So when you'll be making a purchase directly through the without robo-advisors, you will be actually making a purchase in US dollars. So all of them are in US dollars. But last month, actually, Wealthsimple started their Canadian ETF, so that would allow. So we'll come into that as well. So let me start walking. So this is the history. There were only 3-4 players 10 years back. It was Jeff, Samir, and there was the person from CIBC, Khalid Sultan. But then Wealthsimple came in around 2016 and changed the game. So we're going to start the very first one, the robo-advisor that we will be going through. So मैं आपको एक overview दे दूंगा in the next first 15-20 minutes of this everything, and then we can have the conversation or question session after that. So अगर आप Wealthsimple पे जाएंगे तो Wealthsimple के different products हैं, आपको पता है. So one is invest, one is trade. Invest में अगर आप and invest is actually a robo advisor. So अगर आप invest में click करेंगे तो let's see where they are. I think ये बाकी तो आप you can see के what are the expense. So if you're less than 100K, then you will pay 5%, 0.5% management fee. As long as you go above like 100K, your management fee MER would actually be reduced. So इनके में let me see where their portfolios are. So they actually have a halal portfolio. It's not easy to find from here. Let me search that right now. So Wealthsimple started जो है इनका शुरू में जब इन्होंने start किया था, they were actually investing in stocks. So they picked up 50 stocks and they used to invest in that, and the rest they were in gold. They would like to do that, but it was expensive for them because now they had to actually manage all those stocks. So what they've done recently in the last 6 months is now they've actually moved to an ETF as well. So ये जो आप WSHR देख रहे हैं, ये एक ETF है, halal ETF है that Wealthsimple themselves have launched with McKinsey Investments, and it's actually traded on Toronto Stock Exchange. So आप इसको directly जाके, if you don't want to go into robo-advisor, you don't want to pay any expense fee, so you can actually directly trade in like from the trading app of Wealthsimple. Now, a lot of time people ask me like if we can buy this thing on directly without any commission on Wealthsimple trade app, why can't we just buy it directly from the trade app and not pay 0.5% plus 0.5% on ETF? So the answer to that is that not everybody is tech savvy like you. Not everybody is. So imagine somebody who is working in a normal, profession outside of tech or accounting, and they want to do RSP and TFS investment, halal investment, or whatever that is. For them, it's very easy that they can just, one time set up a pad and pre-authorized payment, and then these guys would do all the investments and everything, adjust your portfolio risk, everything on your behalf, and charge you a fee. You don't need to keep on logging into the app and doing all the work for you. But one misconception is that like robo-advisors are not picking active stocks. So what robo-advisors are doing are they're also doing ETFs, because they are not so far smart enough that like an individual where, because the individuals invest karte and they go into they pick up the financial statements, they look what the company is doing, what their future is, if there's a new news in the market, and then they invest in that stock. But they are actually like any other ETF in the world. They would just track with the market. They'll invest the companies like the good companies, and based on that, your portfolio would grow. So coming to that, आप जब वेल सिंपल के साथ रोबो एडवाइजर का अकाउंट खुलवाएंगे तो वो आपसे आपका एक रिस्क लेवल भी पूछ लेंगे, विच एक्चुअली बेसिकली जो मैं यहाँ पे आपके सामने, अगर आप ये स्क्रीन अभी, कैन यू गाइस स्टिल सी माय स्क्रीन राइट, ये वेल सिंपल वाली?
जी
we can, yeah.
सो अभी जब आप देख रहे हैं तो ये आपके रिस्क लेवल के मुताबिक आपको बता देगा कि हाउ मच you should they'll invest in you. So they have a ranking from 1 to 10. So for example, जब आप 7 पे होंगे तो आपका जो 75% कैश होगा वो स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्टेड होगा या ETF में इन्वेस्टेड होगा, 20% गोल्ड में होगा और बाकी जो सारा होगा 5% it would be still sitting in cash. And as you grow your risk level, your investments, they'll just at maximum it would be 90% in stocks, 10% in gold, and then there would be no cash. But as you grow, you can always change that. Or generally, an idea for you is that what these companies do is for young professionals, they go with high equity, and then as you are moving towards 50s and 60s and retiring age, they would start reducing your risk because they don't want to basically potentially expose you, because if you're retiring and you need cash for some sort, if you're still in high growth and the market crashes, all your investment would be gone. So they would actually over the period automatically keep on adjusting your port risk based on discussion with you, and move you to a high risk. And so this is how this would work. So वेल सिंपल का जो इस वक्त इन्होंने अपना एक अपना as you see इन्होंने
Rafaeel, just sorry to interrupt, but there was a message that there's one participant who doesn't understand in Urdu, so they're requesting if you can just continue in English, please.
Okay, that's the question I asked, and the other side of the question is that why don't we do webinars in Urdu? So that's fine. So what Canada, so what Wealthsimple did was they started their own Sharia compliant ETF, because the challenge that they were getting was they were picking up the stocks, they were losing money. And then they couldn't, actively trade it on the Toronto Stock Exchange where most of their other portfolios are. So they said, okay, don't worry about it. We don't want to go with AAFE standard. We'll just build our own ETF with the local imams and clerics. So they consulted them, some doctors, Muslim scholars, and they created their own ETF. So this is the first Sharia compliant ETF that they have Canada. So you can now go, so you now have two options. You can either, if you're very disciplined, what you can do is you can, for free, you can go to Wealthsimple Trade app and open a trade RRSP or TFSA, and periodically after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever your time frame is, you can keep on buying WSHR. In gold, they have a stock called GLDN that they buy. So you can buy that, and based on your risk level, you can maintain everything on your own. You don't need a robo-advisor. If you need a robo-advisor from Wealthsimple, they're going to charge you. So there's an ETF fee of, I think, 0.5% or something like that, which I can actually Google right now for you, what the exact fee for WSHR is. But you would have 0.5% the management expense ratio and the management fee. And as
Rafael, they'll also have a monthly fee for that? Because I tried using the app on mobile, and I think they have a monthly fee for or is that a new feature?
So that monthly fee is actually the fee that they're actually deducting on this 0.5% fee. So that fee actually comes out of your account on monthly basis. So whatever your portfolio value is, for example, $1,000, then whatever that comes out to be $5 or whatever, or 10,000 for $5, they will actually take out that from your account monthly. So as your portfolio grows, for example, now you have 100,000, your fee would actually increase. So, but that's why when you reach 100,000, they actually reduce your management fee. But nothing stops you from going in and buying this on your own. Let me tell you the pros and cons of each feature as well. And I'm going to go on other robo-advisors as well and see, let you guys know what they are offering too. There are always pros and cons of. So with Robo-Advisor, you can just set it and forget it. You don't need to track it. This is working out for you guys. and there's nothing else that needs to get done. When you're trading on your own, apart from self-discipline, it also has to be, you have to control your emotions as well, because the market can go up and down. So when you're working with some external entity and you have an advisor in the middle, they would always tell you, we would suggest you not to sell right now, or they would actually ask you when you're making big sells, because like market, like as you saw in March 2020, how the market went down and quickly, went way up. So when you if the self investment is all good, you're not paying any fees, but then you have to make sure that you're disciplined enough, that you're making those periodic purchases that a Robo-Advisor is doing for you. And you're also, not emotional and buying some other stocks based on your emotions, because what they have figured out for you is, it's a long-term plan. I know it's not going to give you amazing returns, but it like crypto or anything else is going to give you, but at least these would be stable and guaranteed returns that they would give you. So generally, I think in the last the Robo-Advisor that I've seen with Wealthsimple, we can actually see their what their performance has been as well. Let me pull Wealthsimple. They used to have a link. I'm not sure if still is. Yeah. So if you see this, that they're saying that if you would have invested, I'm not sure if it's the latest link or whatever, but they're, because this is still 2020, I think they have not updated this graph, but if you were still invested $10,000 back in 2017, you would have gotten a return of like based on there would be an increase in your wealth by 23.4%. So the market keeps on going on up, but eventually it has gone up. At last year, I think if they start including this, it would be probably 36% or something, because the market has gone exponentially up in the last year. So for the last few years, the market was very bearish, but since last year, the market has gone really up. So you like this percentage would be for around that. But just bear in mind with ETFs and robo-advising, and regardless if you're investing in ETFs, you're not targeting very big growths either. So even if you're getting 12%, 10%, it's very, and in tax sheltered account, it's still, it's considered good and comparable with any other robo-advising services. So I will, any other questions? We can always come back to the question. I'm saying any other questions before we move on to other options that are available to you guys?
So generally, even if you go with the Robo-Advisor, they're smart enough that the management fee pays for itself, right? That can be assumed safely.
Yes, they're smart enough. They are tracking. If they see the market is like very volatile, they're just gonna hold off investing for a few days. And if they see that the ETF price is gonna drop, they'll wait for that drop to happen and then invest your money. But eventually, it's about self-discipline. You shouldn't like as investors say, you shouldn't care about if the market is high enough, or it's more of disciplining yourself to invest and keep on investing, because even if you invest today and tomorrow market goes down sequentially, it's going to eventually come back up. Your money is still in the market and it's going to grow. So it's robo-advising is my 10 cents is that, or 1 cent is that robo-advising is more on for people who are not tax savvy, who don't consider our labor brothers and who are in the labor industry, and everybody, or who are in the transportation industry, who cannot be on the app and keep on trading all the time, or be in front of a computer all the time. So for them, it's an easy way that they know that they're investing based on their religious principles, and they're also, they don't have to do anything. They're fine paying that $5, $10, $15 fee that Robo-Advisor is paying, as long as their investment is growing. And with Wealthsimple, if you know, the one other trick that people do is that they actually offer you significant discount on fees if you are inviting other friends over as well. So if you invited 3 friends, then they would give you your management fee for the first 30,000 would actually be free. So those type of things exist as well. Now, before we go to the next Robo-Advisor, there's another good company that I would at least share with you guys. They are not Robo-Advisor. They are actually a full featured, if you would have seen that they are doing a lot of different stuff. Basically, they're trying to understand you as a client. And they make a customized portfolio for you, what your needs are. So they would ask you, okay, what's your plan? If you want to do a Hajj, what's your plan of doing Hajj in the next 5 years, 10 years? What are your goals? And based on that, they will actually create and you can actually book a free financial or book free call with them. I haven't done so, but I've heard good things about them. So what they're doing is they're only doing halal investment. They are certified financial planners based out of Winnipeg. And what their motto, and you can go and search Jesse as well. This brother is a convert as well. What he says is, I'm not married to any platform, because he has worked with Wealthsimple, he has worked with other companies as well. But over the period, these companies actually switch portfolio, and the investment you might have done, which would have been halal, can become a non-halal if they switch some companies. So he actively screens the companies, and he actively, makes financial plan for you guys. So if you want a good financial planner, their fee would be a bit higher because they are now doing active work for you guys. So it's going to be around 1.5%. That's my understanding based on what I've seen or heard. But that's another company that you guys can explore if you don't want to go with Robo-Advisor. So I'm not going to invest more time on this. I'm going to go to another company that, it's before Manzil, let's go to Shariah Portfolio. So Shariah Portfolio actually is a US company which has recently come into Canada, because the actual founder has moved to Vancouver from Florida. So if you see that this ShariahPortfolio.com is actually a US company. Now I'm going to switch to Canada. So all they're doing is a similar thing as Wealthsimple. They're offering all type of accounts. The good thing about that is that if you recall the actual funds that I actually showed you here, the SPUS and SPSK, they are the ones who launched these ETFs in US on the exchange. So they actually have that thing. So what with Shariah Portfolio, you have 2 options. You can either do Express. Express is the same thing as Wealthsimple. It's going to be a Robo-Advisor. They're gonna, based on Khurram Bhai's comment, I think they have outsourced this to another company, but that Express is actually making same Robo-Advisor investments into SPSK and SPUS. So understanding is that this is global sukuk, so it's a bond, and this is these are the companies. So they will be investing in these different bonds, and with Shariah Portfolio Express. They have another one which is a premier solution, which is for wealth planning for people who are above 100K or 200K. So they would advise them to go with this one. And this is, so consider Express as a passively managed portfolio, and consider Access is an active managed portfolio where you can advise them which stocks to pick, or if you have about a particular stock that you feel is good for you, so they can do all of that customized stuff for you, or the way you like them to manage your thing. But so that's Access, and then Express is the same robo-advisor. So they'll just ask you, start with only $1,000, whatever accounts, and it's going to charge you the same fee that they're doing. Now with them, the good thing, if you are actually worried about Sharia compliances, that they have this um, um, certification. Let me search if it's on this page. Yep. So auditing, they have the accounting and auditing. So this is the gold standard, accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions, AOFI. So they have this certification from them. Wealthsimple doesn't have that. Wealthsimple has their own set of scholars that they have on their side, and they have hired and McKinsey, so they don't go through. But what I have seen so far with Wealthsimple as well, based on, I don't want to dig into at least like details of what companies that they hold. That more like I see that they are Sharia compliant as well. But regardless, this gives you peace of your mind because they are audited by them, and this is actually their team. So this is Noshad that I was talking to, who moved from Florida to Vancouver recently with his family, and this is the team that is at Sharia Portfolio Canada. People, if there's somebody who's joined from US, there's shariaportfolio.com as well, so they do the same thing on the US side as well, different stuff, but which was going to be 401k, similarly Access and Express, similar service on the US side as well. Okay, let's move on because I know we are hitting the time. I'm gonna go to just cover one more because I don't think so we have enough time. So there's another company called Manzil. So Manzil is an independent company that's operating under Canadian laws. They have different set of products, and if you've not heard about them, they have this like Halal Portfolios, they have Halal Homes, they have Halal Cards, and I'll come to you what they do. So basically, they're trying to be a Islamic financing institution or Islamic bank in Canada. They have started with they initially started with the Halal cards. So basically, they partnered with a company called Koho for a prepaid card. It's it has been so that prepaid card, they got the certification from all the scholars from AOFI and everybody that the card and the cash back on that and everything, because it's a prepaid card, you're using your own money, it's halal. So they now, and what the agreement that they have with Koho was that once they reach 1,000 customers, they will start rebranding. Koho will start branding their products as Manzil as well. So then they have car financing, they have home financing, and this is what's special about them. So, and that's why I wanted to cover them. Manzil has started a mortgage fund, you would say, and they are unique in their perspective that they actually it's not something like what other mortgage companies do when you're asking for halal mortgage, that the bank is still loaning you the money, but they are just changing the agreement. In Manzil's case, they are actually buying the home. So you go and do a buyer and seller agreement, then you contact them, then they work out with the seller, they buy the home at full price, and now they are working with you to sell you the equity over the time. So now if you've been given 10% down payment, 20% down payment, you will be actually buying the home equity based on them. They are very good at that they actually put the home in your name as well, like similar as the mortgage companies do as well. So there's nothing going on there, but that's not the topic. We can do another topic at some other day for their mortgage fund. Let's come to their halal money. So in halal money, my understanding is, I don't invest with them, but so far, but my understanding is they have two sort of so if you see here, they have two sort of portfolios. And this is going to give you a better picture, the one I'm showing. So if you are a low risk investment, they would invest all of your money into a halal homes fund, which they have created with CI Investments. And let me tell you, let me cover this and then I'll show you what they do. So they don't they want the consumers to be protected as well. So they have worked, so there used to be a robo-advisor of CI investing, which used to be known as Wealth Bar at one time. Is probably covered here. Yeah, CI direct investing. So now it is from Wealth Bar. CI actually acquired it and now and renamed it to CI direct investing. So you open an account with them, and then CI actually invests on your behalf into these funds, but Manzil is the company that the funds belong to. So you can actually start the account for CI direct investing from here as well, or you can directly start from CI direct investing. So if you're a low risk investor, they'll invest all 100% of your funds into the halal home funds and nothing in their equity fund. So if you see this slide here, the HLAL, so this is the ETF on the New York Stock Exchange that we talked about. So the equity portion, they actually invest in this ETF. So it's going to be either their halal mortgage fund or this particular ETF that's being exchanged on the New York Stock Exchange. If you are a conservative, then obviously 75% and in home and equity. If you're a growth investor, then they're gonna invest 75% fund of your fund in equity at Wahid, the ETF, and the 25% in your halal home funds. This is and then the good thing is, if you are actually buying a home through that as well, they're offering few benefits which you can come and look through this site. But directly, in fact, this is what I was discussing. So they actually manage all your direct investments through CI direct investments, and this is actually good because people like me who have been, there have been some issues in the past where somebody comes in, an individual who starts an Islamic company, the government comes and shuts this down. This is a very high, this is, if you see why they use CI direct investing, they're saying CI direct investing is a subsidiary of CI Financial Corp, one of the Canada's largest investment companies trusted by Canadians since 1965. Your investment is secure and protected. Ability to set up and automate monthly contributions. Account fees are this. All types of accounts are available, and you can manage all your investments through the mobile app as well. So anyways, I think we have spent enough time on these things, but now I would start. I think we can start taking questions and go from there if you guys have any questions.
Hi, so this is Salman here. No question, but just a comment. So I have been investing in mutual funds. That's basically the science and technology mutual funds by TD and RBC. Their returns have been quite great over the last 3 or 4 years, like minimum 20%. So even though they do not categorize themselves as halal, but we kind of try to do the due diligence to make sure that they are not investing somewhere else. So mostly they are investing in the technology sector. So from the layman perspective, it looks okay that they seem to be halal. So just wanted to share this fact that there are a couple of technology funds by RBC and TD that we can look into, which are doing really good in terms of their return on investment. Yeah.
Thanks, Salman. So my comment on that is, even if you go with Quest Trades, Robo-Advisor, any other Robo-Advisor, they actually have lower fees. So, I think, if I look at it, Quest Trade, they are at 0.2%. So Wealthsimple is 0.5, Quest Trade is 0.2 to 0.25, and Quest Trade actually has socially responsible investments as well. But what we need to keep in mind is that socially responsible investments are not same as in halal investments. And the statement that you have given that they are mostly investing in technology companies doesn't imply either, because not all technology companies are halal either. So because there's a certain criteria for the halal investing, and I don't want to get into details for that. It's that your debt cannot be more than 33%. all the things that are like I showed you should be excluded. You cannot have 5% of your income from non-permissible resources. So it's not as simple as that. There's a lot of working behind that. So we cannot just, so it's based on your faith. If you want to do it, like I don't judge you or anybody else. If you want to go with standard funds, you're most welcome to do that. It's just, I'm just trying to cover, because this is one of the questions that people wanted me to cover in this meeting was, hey, what are the halal options available, certified halal options available? So I'm just covering the certified portfolios. If you want to cover Sun Life, or I'm pretty sure Manulife and other ones would have their own funds as well, and they are socially responsible funds available too as well. So just do your due diligence and make sure that you invest based on how you want to do.
Assalamu alaikum, Salman Zaidi here. I had a question about the criteria. I understand that you do not want to go into a little bit more depth into how those investments are chosen, but most of the times in most of the criteria that I read, in pretty much whoever is a rating agency or whoever is assigning a certification of halal to something, they all stop at level 1. So let's say if I am grocery store XYZ and I get into selling of alcohol. So from that very basic act, now as I am a retailer and all those debt conditions are okay, but I am out of that. I never produced alcohol, but I sold it. So the concept of the business itself was okay, but the content of what was being done was not. And if we go one level further, now if Anheuser-Busch is 100% or maybe 51% owner of this XYZ, then whatever was spent on XYZ, although it was not directly going to Anheuser-Busch, has gone to Anheuser-Busch as a majority owner. So that was an assignment there. So how from the perspective of investment, do we differentiate where to stop and where do we say that, okay, well, this is now a certified halal?
Yeah, so Salman bhai, I think from my perspective, and I'm not the qualified individual to speak on that. That's why I said there are some agencies or scholars who certify these these portfolios are haram and like halal, or and they give that their reasoning behind that as well. Related to your question about grocery store, I think the general question would be if they are meeting all the criteria, if the revenue that they're getting or generating from the grocery store, if the alcohol profits are not more than 5% of their total profits, based on what I know, that should be actually permissible, and you can donate. I think it's a similar discussion that we have with airlines as well, that they say, okay, if like when people are investing in airlines, they say, okay, so they go into the financial statements, see how much they're actually earning from food and the alcohol being served on the aircraft, and then they make those decisions based on that. So let's take this offline at some other time, but I don't think so we have the right people on the call to answer that question. But we definitely know people like including maybe Usman Bhai from USA who can answer that question.
Thank you.
I can comment on those questions, but I think on a very basic level, you should understand that there is 2 ways to go in investment. One is that you start investing, you're checking yourself, every company on these issues. There is an international standard. I think when you were showing that OAFE standard there. So if there is an international standard for investment to check which companies you can invest and they're halal or not halal, and that international standard is basically is followed by majority of the big companies and big EDFs and everybody. So there is 2 ways to go now. One is that on a stock level, you check every stock, see, okay, this stock is halal or not, and stock changes every day. So you check every day, the stock is halal or not. If you invest in a stock, if the stocks change next day, becomes non-halal, what do you do? So that's a whole avenue. If you choose to start investing yourself, analyzing yourself every stock, build your own portfolio, that's one way of doing investment. And the other way of doing investment is you start using all these companies where Rafaeel Bhai was showing. These companies take the responsibility. They make sure that these stocks or these companies they're investing in, they're halal, and they take care of the risks and everything. So you don't have to watch the stocks all the time. You don't have to look at the stock markets all the time. You look at the overall long-term investments, 1 year, 5 year down the road, how much earning, 10%, 20%, how much earning you do. So on a very basic level, first decision you have to make is, do you have the time and resources to start looking yourself? Or if you're already working, you already have a job, you already have a business, can you take another job? Because it's a full-time job, looking at stocks, looking at things and analyzing every day on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Or you say, okay, no, I don't have that time, but I still want to do passive investment. Then you choose one of these companies, and that's the fee you're paying, because then they are managing a portfolio. They're doing all the headache of analyzing on a daily basis. They will take stocks out of their ETF. They will add stocks, remove stocks based on these things. So that's the basic decision you have to make on a very basic level of investment.
Thank you.
Do another separate presentation on what is halal and what stocks halal and what changes were criterias. That's probably out of scope for this presentation, but this is on a very high level.
No, definitely. Thank you very much for the answer. And my question was more in regards of that thing that you mentioned, that how much time do you want to put towards investigating of what is going on in a business. I am preparing to take an exam for certification as a securities licensed person. So I would be doing an RIA as a full-time business. That was the question of whether should I be involving myself into this niche business of getting into every single investment, into how deep should I be looking into it, or going with one of these certification agencies in order to identify the portfolio for my clients. So that was that. Thank you very much for your answer.
Yeah. So I think in this today in our participants, Salman bhai, you're the most qualified or experienced person, because that's your job on daily basis. So and just so the participants who are actually part of this meeting as well, Salman bhai actually will be doing another session. So people who want to do trading, like direct trading or active trading themselves, Salman bhai has kindly agreed to do a session early July as well. So we'll send that detail as well. But just before we close that this discussion, there are also two options, as Usman bhai pointed out, in passive investing. One passive investing is, yes, you have probably 15 hours a day. You can just move money to your trading app, and you can go and buy you can make the purchase on your own on Simple Trade app. Like it's just literally from the app. You have to click move money to my account, and you do need to purchase the ETF. So that's with that you would have no fee. Or you just want to say, hey, I don't want to be in a hassle of even knowing about. I just want to make sure my money grows, and then you pick the option of Robo-Advisors. So even in passive investment as well, you have these two options, because ETFs are already validated that those follow the Shariah principles. Anyways, any other question that we have?
Yeah, simple question. Two simple questions. So one is like, for me, my office, they have a RRSP matching policy, and they normally use Manulife as the firm to manage that. Is there anyone aware of? Can I choose some stocks on the Manulife? I don't have any other option, right? So I'm trying to find a way of changing that, but apparently Manulife does have a Sharia compliant one, but they're not offered. So is there any alternate way where I can direct, because it's kind of a fixed system? They just have 5 to 8 options, and you have to choose one of those.
Good question. I think that's a question that I've heard from many people in the past as well, because Sun Life doesn't offer, because every employer actually picks their own funds, and they would give you, when you're joining a company, they would give you these 15, 20 funds to pick up from, and you can pick any of those funds based on your likes, and they can invest in it, or they would just put the funds on your behalf. So unfortunately with that, unless they're offering that sort of, I have a feeling once they actually see that how many people are actually investing, and that's why I actually encourage people that if there are any like good halal products that you see in the market, like as Manzil, like their like card, because majority of the people, and I think the Well Simple actually captured that market, because nobody was actually capturing that market. So we will see more companies coming into this. But for now, the strategy that most of the people actually follow is they just keep on investing into their, because it's a matching policy through their company. They don't have any option. What they generally do is they keep on investing in that, and once they move from that organization, they move those funds to their halal portfolio that they have with another company, and they just donate certain percentage that they feel like is would be from the non-permissible sources, or they feel like you don't have to, but this is the only solution most of the people are doing right now.
Okay, and can you take a question on RRSP, or this might not be the right forum? I can take it offline.
No, you can do it for question on RRSP general.
So you have a fixed fixed particular budget for RSP yearly that you can contribute into, right? Mm-hmm. And again, the employer cuts 3 to 5%. That's the plan they have to match that. Mm-hmm. Is there a way I can check how much is the remaining RSP window just before the year finishes, or before the financial end of the year, so that I don't have any missed out? So last year I missed out on a few $1,000s, right?
Yeah, so the good thing, so there are two options with that. One is that once you know your pay, and you know that you're going to be investing, for example, 5% or 10% of your RSP from the company, and they will be matching it as well. So you can take that limit that you that calculation, and from your overall limit of RSP for that year, you can make sure just buffer it a bit, and make sure that your actual contributions for that year do not exceed that. So for example, let's assume that you are planning to invest.
Understood on that one. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. And I got that. The challenge is that I'm on a sales plan, so it's a commission-based one. So it fluctuates every quarter. Is the penalty high on the RSP one if you invest more?
It is. Basically, that's how they if they're not charging you tax, that's how they actually make the money. But the other way for that, Shariah, is that you can actually wait until the next year when your final paychecks are in, and you still have the first 60 days, right? So if you see that the investments that you've done through your company and through your accounts are actually less, then you actually have the 60 days in the next year to actually make contributions for the following years too, right? So that would be actually deducted from the tax.
Yeah, thank you. I think that my accountant should have told me, but probably I need a new one. Thank you for that.
Nice.
Rafaeel, would they not automatically stop excess contributions into a retirement plan in Canada? That is one question. Number two, would most of the retirement plans give out options of self-directed retirement contributions or self-directed investing within the retirement plan if the client so chooses?
Yeah, so there are two things, right? So the employer doesn't know because they don't know your overall income, so they cannot stop that contribution. As whatever you've identified, you'll be making that investment through them. Plus the thing is the government cannot stop. They actually have penalties across it, so they've just put that onus on the actual individual, that we have given you your limit for TFSA, the tax-free saving account, and RSP for the year. You just need to make sure you're not over contributing to that. And this is how this works. And then in investing, you can just do like, as I said, you can do self-directed. With employer, you can't do self-directed. Like they would ask you the list of funds, you can work with them and change those funds. But in the other ones, that RSP and everything, you can either do self-directed, or you can do, through a company or a financial institution. Does that answer your question, or like I missed some part?
Yes. No, you did answer the question. So here in the US, it's a little bit different, where let's say that Fidelity is the manager of your employer's plan. Fidelity would stop at the yearly maximum limit. So let's say that your 25th contribution into that took you over 19,000, which was the yearly limit, and it was 19,300. So Fidelity would only take that to maximize it to 19,000, would cut off the excess portion, would not take any further distribution from there on once you have maximized it. So that is one thing that that is done here, as well as the employer plans are also kind of like allowing, or slowly have started to allow, self-directed branch out from within the employee plan. So that might be also coming to your Canadian plans.
Yeah. So thank you.
Rafael, I think Salman's brought a very good point. So does that mean that if I have a 3 or to 5% fixed contribution allocated from my salary every month, that the plan would not check, or the advisor would not check if I've crossed my RRSP limit? So it can be a penalty on me if I'm not cautious enough.
Well, the advisor can always check if you can give him what your contribution limit for that year is. But I think the companies won't know, because they don't have access directly to, I think, CRS database. So that is I think what the difference is. And again, I'm not an expert on this, so this is somebody that I think we need to ask somebody else who can answer this question.
Sure.
Okay, I think we're losing participants. Any other?
I have just a quick question. Sorry. Will this recording be available for the participant to review later? I see it's been recorded. Sorry, I joined late, but just wondering if
we'll make it available. We're recording it. We'll determine which channel to share it on.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions before we drop off?
Yeah, a quick comment. There was a question about RRSP self-investing. Yeah, I mean, I have the RRSP that's Canadian, and I'm doing like self-direct investment of that. So there is an option, but it varies from one employer to another. What does the employer, does it allow to you to switch or not? I mean, my employer does, so I'm doing that.
Yeah, self-direct is like, for me, is kind of like self-direct is somebody who's making the investments on you. But generally, yes, you can pick companies, you can pick funds, and you can switch funds as part of your, when you're part of the organizations, they would give you an advisor. You can call them and say, hey, I don't like the performance of this fund. Can you switch this fund to this? They will do it for you. So that's always possible with the employer. But from my perspective, self-directed is, if you're just going into the stock exchange and making purchases on your own, right?
Yes, and yeah, I think that if the self-directed option is available in the RRSPs or whatever the retirement plans that are in consideration, and somebody is worried about Sharia compliant option there, then that becomes a much wider universe to choose from, and obviously much more options can be chosen than just those 5 things that were given by the employer.
Yes. Okay, so any other question that you would like me to address? Again, this is a very, on these things we can have discussions for hours, and we didn't discuss. So I'll leave you guys with this point, because I know we're reaching an hour. Is that if you are in Canada, if you want to do apart from robo-advising, you want to do investments yourself, if you want to do Canadian stocks, just do it through Wealthsimple, because there's no commission. For US stocks, just there are 2 other platforms called Questrade and IBKR. So use either one of them. rather than TD or any other big bank. Just use Questrade or IBKR. They would actually, they have lower fees as well. So you can buy US stocks from them and Canadian stocks from Wealthsimple, because Wealthsimple charges you a markup on exchange fees, both at the time of buying and selling. So that would, so just wanted to give you another tip before we drop off. Okay, thank you everyone, and inshallah we'll continue these sessions for the community and our past-in community as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.